Welcome to Short Scale Modelling. For my next build, I'm building this Airfix, Airfix saddle tank. It's a locomotive. Old Airfix scale is 00 gauge, so it's in the gauge of an actual train set. So in the box, so you can see it's very okay. The box is quite damaged with this shim. We have the instructions, which are quite old. The kit itself, now I bought this kit second hand, so I don't know what state it's going to be in. It was packed in this bubble wrap, so I just took that out. So there's not much there. I don't know it's been taken off through by the looks of it. Just quickly go through this. Decals are very poor, so probably won't be using them. Oh dear, it would appear we are missing a wheel. Now that's obviously a problem. I'm going to have to try and scratch build a wheel. So anyway, I'm going to do the kit, especially now it's got a wheel missing. I mean, I wouldn't be able to sell it on. I'll see what I can come up with. I may put it in a diorama as a crashed or scratch build a wheel. So let's go on with this. Well, in order to build the wheel, I've taken a sheet of plastic card here, and I've taken one of the wheels and just tracing around it. I'll then cut it out and just using my snips here to get close to the line as possible. And now I'm filing it down to the marking. It may help if you place the one of the wheels on the plastic card to file it down. That way you can get a fairly good round shape. Make sure you don't touch, go down too far and start filing the actual wheel. And so now I've got two wheels there. I've marked off where roughly the spokes are going to be. So now I've got to cut out the centre of these wheels. So I'm using my pen drive initially, and I'm just going to make a series of holes throughout the wheel before I cut it out. So now I'm just using my hobby knife to cut out the centre part. I'm just dragging it along where the drilled holes are, and eventually it'll pop out. So now the centre is cut out, I'll just use a file to tidy up the rough edges. So that's the first one cut out. You notice as well it's slightly smaller than the other disc. That's because to create the depth of the wheel. When you file that down as well, you want to bevel it at the end. So just sand it down on an angle to make it a sort of beveled edge. So I'm just tracing this circle around inside it now to cut the centre of the other wheel. And then once that's done, just cement the two halves together. I'm now cutting a small strip of plastic card here, and these will be getting cut up in small parts to act as the spoke in the wheel. So a simple measurement to get the diameter that I need. There's no exact science in it, just a snip off. It's better to take off not enough and just work your way down until you can get it to fit inside the centre of the wheel. So a little bit of cement, and then just placing the bar as such inside the wheel, and this will be your starting point for the spoke, and then you do the same all the way around. Obviously the other parts will be smaller than your main bar. So as you can see there, smaller parts going in, and I'm just carrying on the same process all the way around the wheel, same as last, so that's why I'm fast forwarding it. So then it comes to the end piece, and that just slots in, and then you have the spokes for the wheel. Now this is a little bit thicker than the actual wheel on the train, but it does the job. And now I've got to make the bracket that holds the push bar onto the wheel, and again it's made up similar to the spokes, so it's just a slight a small piece of plastic card, a rectangle, and snip it off the corners. Then I'll file them down into a round sort of surface, And then once that's done, I'll just drill a hole at the end with my pin drive, and that's going to be the recess point for the actual push bar. It then simply goes onto the wheel from the middle, and the little hole that I drilled points towards the outside. So make sure your location before you cement it on, because you're really only going to get one chance of doing this. You don't want to have to start the whole process again, because it does take a while to do. And for the axle, it's just a simple case of finding a bit of sprue. It's roughly the same circumference of the actual wheel's axle, and cutting it down to size and then placing it on the wheel. Simple as that for the axle. Time to paint the parts, and I'm using Revel Aquacolor 06 Tar Black, and this is for the foot plate and for the side panels, the lower section of the locomotive. I'm using Life Color UA736 Black and Rubber Shades Burnt Black, and this is for the actual wheels on the rim that runs also on the outside. And then it's Tamiya's XF84 Dark Iron for the suspension springs. For the spokes of the wheels, I'm using Revel Aquacolor 91 steel, and as well as the side of the rim of the tyre of the wheel also. For the push bars here, I'm also using the 91 steel. For the assembly, the two sidewalls are first to be built, and there's just two location points that sit onto each other. I also had to scratch build the front part of the train. That was missing as well. Unfortunately, my video didn't record, but this is the end result. So basically, it was similar to the wheel that I scratch built. There's one main disc and then one inner disc. I was lucky enough to already have one cut for the wheel, which happened to fit into it. It's one I discarded. I cut it, didn't like the shape of it, so I discarded it for the wheel. I then used the inner part that I cut out for the wheel to actually simulate the door. And then I just used a couple of strips of plastic card to place on to act as the hinges. And once it was in place, there was a couple of little gaps at the bottom there where the unit squares off. So it was just a simple case of putting a little bit of filler in these points just to close up the gap. The rear of the train for the coal bunker, I'm using Humbrol 85 Coal Black. Now on the mark there, you'll see pre-painted parts. I also painted them while not realising the camera wasn't recording. So for the inside of the cab unit, it's a Revel Aquacolor 06 Tar Black. And for the outside, it's Mr. Hobby H28 Metallic Metal Black. And that colour is going to be the overall colour for the top section of the train, so the cab and everything really. To the bumpers, and it's Revel Aquacolor 36 Carmine Red for the main colour. For the actual buffers, it's the Life Colour Black and Burnt Rubber Shades. And lastly, XF56 Metallic Grey for the couplings that go in the centre. They're quite small, these couplings. You have to make them up. Again, I didn't record it. There was something seriously wrong with my camera at this point, so I can only apologise for that. So once it was made up, it was just a case of fitting it at the end of the foot plate. It just slides into position there. There's a couple of little brackets that it bumps right next to, so that you can't get the position wrong. Next to go in is the handbrake cable. This was quite tricky to put it on. In the end, I had to open up the recess hole for it before I was able to go on. Next is the furnace to go on. That just sits at the other end there. Check your fit as well, just to make sure that you haven't put it too far down. The location points here are not very good. You may actually put it in too high or too low, because there is a small lip. So just rest it against the foot plate, make sure that you've got the proper height to it. So next I'm putting the actual handbrake in onto the foot plate. There's not much going on inside the cab. There's only the handbrake and the turning wheel. And now I'm painting the handrails, and that's rubber colour 91 steel. And next to go on the footplate is the opposite end coupling. I did debate whether to put this one on or not, because I'm not actually connecting it to anything. It's sort of strange, it sticks out a little bit further than you would think. So I'm not sure whether this is accurate or not. But in the end I put it on. There's a series of small lights that go on in the front. There's 3 of them in total. There's a little point for each one that the light rests on. Now these are tiny. My camera doesn't really pick them up that well. I'll try and zoom in a bit. You can just about make them out. So I'm putting the first one on, and if you can just see the little bits and lumps of plastic sticking up, and the rest on that. Once they're in position, you can see them a little bit better there. Now it's time to fit the main boiler. That just there's 2 location points for this. Fits into the recess on the footplate. You shouldn't have any problem whatsoever. It fitted in rather well. And now you have to adjust the handbrake cable to go inside the cab unit, and it just butts up against the plate where the front of the boiler cover is. To make up the cab itself, the instructions say make it up on the footplate, but after dry fitting it, I thought it was better to make it up before it fits on. So I'm just putting on the coal bunker here. But it's a very simple construction. It's just making up a box in relative terms. There's nothing there that it would be new to any builder. And then the cab just sits in on top. Before I close up this part of the video, I should point out I didn't record the wheels going on either, and it was a simple case of just pushing them on, using the push bar as a guide to line the wheels in. So just 2 little things to do now, and that's to put this little pipe on and the steps, which fit directly underneath the cab here. So I'm going to bring this part to a close. Initially I'm going to do it in one video, but it's a bit more work than I realised. So I'm going to be splitting it into 2 videos now. So if you haven't done so already, why don't you subscribe to the channel for any updates, hit that like button, and of course leave a comment. But for now, thank you all very much for watching. Bye bye.